First, matter. Pure eternal power is the necessary inherent quality of the most pure and holy divine essence. That is to say, it is of necessity intrinsic to the essence, it can in no way be separated from it. Since this is so, the essence which necessitates that power clearly cannot be affected by impotence, the opposite to power. For if that were the case, it would entail the combining of opposites. Since the essence cannot be affected by impotence, self-evidently it cannot intervene in the power which is the inherent quality of that essence. Since impotence cannot intervene in that essential power, clearly there can be no degrees in it. For the degrees of existence of a thing are through the intervention of its opposites. For example, the degrees of heat are through the intervention of cold, and the degrees of beauty through the intervention of ugliness. Further examples can be made in the same way. Since in contingent beings these qualities are not true, natural and inherent, necessary qualities, their opposites may enter them. With the existence of degrees, diversity, variance, and change arose in the world. Since there can be no degrees in pure eternal power, of necessity, those things decreed by it will be the same in relation to it. The greatest will be equal to the smallest, and particles the same as the stars. The resurrection of all mankind will be as easy for that power as the raising to life of a single individual, the creation of spring as easy as the giving of form to a single flower. Whereas, if attributed to causes, the creation of a single flower would be as difficult as the spring. It has been proved in the footnote to the last section of the 4th degree of God is most great in the 2nd station of this word, and in the 22nd word, and in the 20th letter, and in its addendum, that when the creation of beings is attributed to the single one of unity, all things become as easy as one thing. If they are attributed to causes, the creation of a single thing becomes as difficult and problematical as that of all things. Second matter. Divine power is related to the inner face of things. Yes, the universe has two faces like a mirror. One is its external face, which resembles the colored face of the mirror. The other is its face, which looks to its creator. This resembles the mirror's shining face. Its external face is the arena of opposites. It is where matters like beautiful and ugly, good and evil, big and small, difficult and easy appear. It is because of this that the all-glories Maker has made apparent causes avail to the disposal of his power, so that the hand of power should not appear to the mind to be directly concerned with matters that on the face of it are insignificant or unworthy. For majesty and dignity require it to be thus. But he did not give a true effect to causes and intermediaries, because the unity of oneness requires that they have none. As for the face of beings which looks to its creator, in everything it is shining, it is clean. The colors and distortions of individuality do not intervene in it. This aspect faces its creator without intermediary. There are no chains and disposition of causes in it. Cause and effect cannot intrude on it. It contains nothing contorted or askew. Obstacles cannot interfere in it. A particle becomes brother to the sun. In short, divine power is both simple and infinite and essential. The place connected to divine power has neither intermediary nor stain, nor is it the scene of rebellion. Therefore, within the sphere of divine power, great does not take pride of place over small. The community does not take preference over the individual. Universals cannot expect more from divine power than particulars. Third, matter. Divine power's relation is according to laws. That is to say, it regards many and few, great and small as the same. We shall make this abstruse matter easier to understand with a number of comparisons. In the universe, transparency, reciprocity, balance, order, disengagedness, and obedience are all matters which render many equal to few and great equal to small. First, comparison. This explains the mystery of transparency. For example, the sun's image and reflection, which are its radiance and manifestation, display the same identity on the sea's surface and in every drop of the sea. If the globe of the earth was composed of varying fragments of glass and exposed to the sun without veil, the sun's reflection would be the same in every fragment and on the whole face of the earth, without obstruction or being divided into pieces or being diminished. If, let us suppose, the sun acted with will and through its will conferred the radiance of its light, an image of its reflection, it would not be more difficult for it to confer its radiance on the whole surface of the earth than to confer it on a single particle. Second comparison. This concerns the mystery of reciprocity. For example, let us suppose there is a vast ring composed of living beings, that is, of human beings, each holding a mirror. At its center is an individual holding a candle. The radiance and manifestation reflected in all the mirrors surrounding the central point will be the same, and its relation will be without obstacle, fragmentation, or being diminished. Third, comparison. This concerns the mystery of balance. For example, there are an enormous set of scales which are extremely accurate and sensitive. Whichever of two suns, or two stars, or two mountains, or two eggs, or two particles are placed in its two pans, it will require the same force to raise one pan of those huge sensitive scales to the sky and lower the other to the ground. Fourth, comparison. This concerns the mystery of order. For example, a huge ship can be turned as easily as a tiny toy boat. Fifth, comparison. This concerns the mystery of disengagedness. For example, a nature disengaged from individuality regards all particulars from the smallest to the greatest as the same and enters them without being diminished or fragmented. The qualities present in the aspect of external individuality do not interfere and cause confusion. They do not alter the view of a disengaged nature such as that. For example, a fish, like a needle, possesses such a disengaged nature, the same as a whale. Or a microbe bears an animal nature, the same as a rhinoceros. Sixth, comparison. This demonstrates the mystery of obedience. For example, a commander causes a single private to advance with the command, "Forward march," the same as he causes an army to advance. The truth of the mystery of this comparison about obedience is as follows. As is proved by experience, everything in the universe has a point of perfection, and everything has an inclination towards that point. Increased inclination becomes need. Increased need becomes desire. Increased desire becomes attraction, and attraction, desire, need, and inclination are each seeds and kernels which together with the essences of things conform to the creative commands of Almighty God. The absolute perfection of the true nature of contingent beings is absolute existence. Their particular perfections are an existence peculiar to each, which makes each being's abilities emerge from the potential to the actual. Thus, the obedience of the whole universe to the divine command, "Be," is the same as that of a particle which is like a single soldier, contained all together in the obedience and conformity of contingent beings to the pre-eternal command of "Be." Proceeding from the pre-eternal will are inclination, need, desire, and attraction, which are also manifestations of divine will. The fact that when subtle water receives the command to freeze, with a refined inclination it may split a piece of iron, demonstrates the strength of the mystery of obedience. If these 6 comparisons are observed in the potentialities and actions of contingent beings, which are both defective and finite and weak and have no actual effect, without doubt it will be seen that everything is equal in relation to pure eternal power, which is both pure eternal and post-eternal, and creates the whole universe out of pure non-existence, and being manifested through the works of its tremendousness leaves all minds in wonderment. Nothing at all can be difficult for it. Such a power cannot be weighed on the small scales of these mysteries, neither are they proportionate. They have been mentioned to bring the subject closer to the understanding and to dispel any doubts. Results and summary of the third fundamental point. Since pure eternal power is infinite, and it is the inherent, necessary quality of the most pure and holy essence, and since the stainless, veilless inner aspect of everything is turned to it and faces it, and is in balance with respect to contingency, which consists of the equal possibility of being and non-being, and since this inner face is obedient to the order of creation and the divine laws of the universe which form the greater Sharia, the Sharia of creation, and it is disengaged from and free of obstacles and different characteristics, certainly, like the smallest thing, the greatest cannot resist that power, nor expect more from it than the smallest. In which case, the raising to life of all beings with spirits at the resurrection is not more difficult for divine power than raising a fly to life in the spring. Thus, the decree of your creation and your resurrection is but like a single soul is no exaggeration, it is true and correct. And our claim that the agent possesses the power has been proved through indecisive fashion. There is nothing to hinder it in this respect. Fourth fundamental point. Just as there are things necessitating the resurrection of the dead and great gathering, and the one who will bring it about possesses the power to do so, so the world possesses the potential for the resurrection of the dead and great gathering. There are 4 matters in this assertion of mine that this place is possible. The first is the possibility of this world's death. The second is its actual death. The third is the possibility of the destroyed, dead worlds being reconstructed and resurrected in the form of the hereafter. The fourth is its actual reconstruction and resurrection which are possible. First matter. The universe's death is possible. For if something is included in the law of the process of perfection, there is bound to be growth and development in it. And if there is growth and development, that thing is bound to have a natural life span. And if it has a natural life span, there is bound to be a time for its natural death. It is established by inductive reasoning and extensive investigation that it cannot save itself from the claws of death. Indeed, just as man is the macrocosm, and he cannot be saved from destruction, the world too is the macroanthropos, it neither can be saved from the clutches of death. It too will die and will then be resurrected, or it will lie in repose and then open its eyes in the morning of the resurrection. Also, just as a living tree, which is a miniature copy of the universe, cannot save its life from destruction and dissolution, so the chain-like universe, which has branched out from the tree of creation, cannot save itself from the destruction and dispersal in order to be repaired and renewed. If, with the permission of the pre-eternal will, some external disease or destructive events do not befall the world before the time of its natural death, and its all-wise Maker also does not demolish it before that time, for sure, according to scientific reckoning, a day will come when the meanings and mysteries of the verse, when the sun is rolled up, when the stars tumble, when the mountains are swept away, when the she-camels, 10 months with young, are left untended, when the wild beasts are herded together, when the oceans boil over, will become manifest with the permission of the pure eternal all-powerful one, and the death agonies of the macroanthropos, which is the world, will begin. It will fill space and make it reverberate with an appalling death rattle and devastating sounds, roaring. It will die. Then, at the divine command, it will return to life once more. A subtle, elusive matter. Just as water freezes to its own detriment, and ice melts to its own detriment, and a kernel gains strength to the detriment of the shell, and a word becomes coarse to the detriment of the meaning, and the spirit weakens on account of the body, and the body becomes finer on account of the spirit, so too, this world, the dense world, becomes transparent and refined with the functioning of the machine of life on account of the hereafter, which is the subtle world. Creative power sprinkling the light of life on dense, lifeless, extinguished, dead objects with an astonishing activity is a sign that it dissolves, burns, and illuminates this dense world with the light of life on account of the subtle world. No matter how weak reality is, it does not die, it is not annihilated like a form. Rather, it travels in individuals and forms. Reality grows, develops, and gradually expands while the shell and the form wear out, become finer, and break up. They are renewed in a better form so as to become suitable to the stature of the stable and expanded reality. In regard to increase and decrease, reality and form are in inverse proportion. That is to say, the more substantial form grows, the weaker reality becomes. The less substantial form becomes, to that degree, the reality grows stronger. Thus, this law encompasses all things included in the law of the process of perfection. This means that the time is certain to come when the manifest world, which is the shell and form of the mighty reality of the universe, will break up with the permission of the all-glorious Creator. Then it will be renewed in a better form. The meaning of the verse, that day the earth will be changed into a different earth, will be realized. In short, the death of the world is possible. Moreover, there can be no doubt that it is possible. Second matter. This is the actual death of the world. The proof of this matter is the consensus of all the revealed religions, the testimony of all sound natures, the indication of all the changes, transformations, and alterations in the universe, the testimony to the number of centuries and years through their depths in this guest house of the world, of all living worlds and mobile worlds to do death of the world itself. If you want to imagine the death agonies of the worlds as the Qur'an points them out, think of how the parts of the universe are bound to one another with an exact, exalted order. They are held with such a hidden, delicate, subtle bonds and are so bound within an order that on a single one of the lofty heavenly bodies receiving the command, be or leave your orbit, the world will go into its death agonies. The stars will collide, the heavenly bodies reel, a great din will strike up in infinite space like the devastating sound of millions of cannonballs and great guns the size of globes, clashing and colliding with one another, sending out showers of sparks, the mountains taking flight, the seas burning, the face of the earth will be flattened. Thus, through this death and those agonies, the pre-eternal one of power will shake up the universe. He will provide the universe and hell, and the matters of hell will draw to one side, and paradise and the matters appropriate for paradise draw to the other, and the world of the hereafter will become manifest. Third matter. The return to life of the world, which will die, is possible. For, as is proved in the second fundamental point, there is no deficiency in divine power, and the things necessitating it are extremely powerful. The matter is within the realm of the possible. And if a possible matter has something extremely powerful necessitating it, and there is no deficiency in the power of the agent, it may be regarded not as possible, but as actual. An elusive point. If the universe is studied carefully, it will be seen that within it are two elements that have spread everywhere and become rooted, with their traces and fruits like good and evil, beauty and ugliness, benefit and harm, perfection and defect, light and darkness, guidance and misguidance, light and fire, belief and unbelief, obedience and rebellion, and fear and love. Opposites clash with one another in the universe. They are constantly manifested through change and transformation. Their wheels turn like the workshop of the crops of some other world. Of a certainty, the branches and results which are opposites of those two elements will continue into eternity. They will become concentrated and separate from one another. Then they will be manifested in the form of paradise and hell. Since it is out of this transcendent world that the permanent world will be made, its fundamental elements will certainly go to eternity and permanence. Indeed, paradise and hell are two fruits of the branch of the tree of creation, which stretches, inclines, and goes towards eternity. They are the two results of the chain of the universe, the two storehouses of this flood of divine activity, the two pools of beings, which flow in waves towards eternity, and the place of manifestation, the one of divine favor, the other of divine wrath. When the hand of power shakes up the universe with a violent motion, those two pools will fill up with the appropriate matters. The secret of this elusive point is as follows. As eternal benevolence and pre-eternal wisdom necessitated, the pre-eternal all-wise one created this world to be a place of trial, an arena of examination, a mirror to his most beautiful names, and a page for the pen of divine determining and power. Now, trial and examination are the cause of growth and development, and growth causes the disposition to unfold, and this unfolding causes the abilities to become apparent, and this emergence of the abilities causes the relative truths to become evident, and the relative truths becoming evident causes the embroideries of the manifestations of the all-glorious Maker's most beautiful names to be displayed, and the universe to be transformed into a missile of the eternally besought one. It is through this mystery of examination and the mystery of man's accountability that the diamond-like essences of elevated spirits are purified of the coal-like matter of base spirits, and the two separated out from one another. Thus, since it was for mysteries such as this, and for other most subtle and elevated instances of wisdom, which we do not yet know of, that the pre-eternal all-wise one willed the world in this form, he also willed the change and transformation of this world for those instances of wisdom. He mixed together opposites for its change and transformation and brought them face to face, combining harm with benefit, including evil with good, and mingling ugliness with beauty. He kneaded them together like dough and made the universe subject to the law of change and mutation and the principle of transformation and perfection. A day will come when this assembly of examination is closed and the period of trial is finished, and the divine names have carried out their decree, and the pen of divine determining has completed writing its missives, and divine power completed the embroideries of its art, and beings have fulfilled their duties, and creatures accomplished their acts of service, and everything has stated its meaning, and this world produced the seedlings of the hereafter, and the earth has displayed and exhibited all the miracles of power of the all-powerful Maker, and all the wonders of his art, and this transcendent world has attached to the string of time the tableaus forming the panoramas of eternity. For the eternal wisdom and pure eternal beneficence of the all-glorious Maker necessitate truths like the results of the examination and trial, the truths of those divine names manifestations, the truths of the missives of the pen of divine determining, the originals of those sample-like embroideries of art, the aims and benefits of the duties of beings, the wages of the acts of service of creatures, the truths of the meanings the book of the universe stated, the sprouting of the seeds of innate disposition, the opening of a supreme court of judgment, the displaying of the sample-like panoramas taken from this world, the rending of the veil of apparent causes, and the surrendering of everything directly to the all-glorious Creator. Since the all-glorious Maker's pure eternal wisdom and beneficence necessitate these truths, they require the purification of those opposites in order to deliver the world from change and transcends, transformation and extinction, and to separate out the causes of change and the matters of conflict. And most certainly, they will bring about the resurrection and purify those opposites in order to obtain these results. Thus, as a result of this purification, hell will take on its eternal and dreadful form, and its inmates will manifest the threat. And yet you apart this day, O you sinners, while paradise will assume its everlasting and majestic form, and its people and companions will manifest the address of "Peace be upon you, well have you done, enter here to dwell forever." As is proved in the second question of the first station of the 28th word, through his perfect power, the pure eternally all-wise One will give the inhabitants of these two houses eternal and permanent bodies which will not be subject to dissolution, change, old age, or decline. For there will be no causes of change which are the cause of decline. Fourth matter. This is possible, it will occur. Indeed, after dying, the world will be resurrected as the hereafter. After being destroyed, the one who made the world will repair and reconstruct it in an even better form, and will convert it into one of the mansions of the hereafter. Just as the proof of this is, foremost, the agreement of the Holy Qur'an together with all its verses comprising thousands of rational proofs, and all the revealed scriptures, so do the attributes of the all-glorious One pertaining to His might, and those pertaining to His beauty, and all His beautiful names, clearly indicate its occurrence. So too did He promise He would create the resurrection and great gathering through all His heavenly decrees, which He sent to His prophets. And since He has promised, most certainly shall He bring it about. You may refer to the 8th truth of the 10th word concerning this matter. Also, just as foremost Muhammad the Arabian, peace and blessings be upon him, with the strength of his talent miracles, and all the prophets and messengers, saints and the righteous agreed on its occurrence and gave news of it, so does the universe together with all its creational signs tell of its occurrence. In short, the 10th word with all its truths, and the 28th word with all its proofs in the especialists in its second station, have demonstrated with the certainty of the sun's rising in the morning after setting the previous evening, that after the setting of the life of this world, the Sun of Truth will appear once more in the form of the life of the hereafter. Thus, seeking assistance from the divine name of All-Wise, and benefiting from the effulgence of the Qur'an, from the beginning up to here, our explanations have taken the form of 4 fundamental points, in order to prepare the heart for acceptance, the soul for surrender, and to convince the reason. But who are we that we should speak of this matter? What does this world's true owner, the universe's creator, this being's master, say? We should listen to him. Can others dare to interfere officiously while the owner of this domain speaks? We must listen to the pure eternal discourse of the all-wise Maker, which he delivers, addressing all the ranks of those of each successive century in the mosque of the world, and place of instruction, which is the earth, with thousands of degrees, like when the earth is rocked with a great convulsion, and the earth casts out its burdens, and man cries out, what is happening to it? On that day, it will relate what all those upon it have done. For so your sustainer will have commanded it. On that day, men will go forth in groups to the judgment, to receive requital for their former deeds. Then anyone who has done an atom's weight of good shall see it, and anyone who has done an atom's weight of evil shall see it, which causes the earth to tremble, but give glad tidings to those who believe and do good works, that theirs shall be paradises beneath which flow rivers. Whenever they are given fruits therefrom as sustenance, they will say, this is what we ate before as sustenance, for they shall be offered it in a form resembling that of this world. And they shall have there women pure and good, and they shall dwell there forever, which fills all creatures with joy and eagerness. We must give heed to these decrees of the possessor of all dominion, the owner of this world and the next, and we must say, we believe in it and we affirm it. All glory be unto you. We have no knowledge save that which you have taught us. Indeed, you are all-knowing, all-wise. O our sustainer, do not punish us if we forget or do wrong. O God, grant blessings to our Master Muhammad and to the family of our Master Muhammad, as you granted blessings to our Master Ibrahim and to the family of our Master Ibrahim. Indeed, all praise is yours, all splendor.